Now today in this lecture we will talk about the uterus. Okay? मैंने कहा था uterus is also called as womb, isn't it? It is the organ, it's the part of reproductive tract. Female is reproductive tract generally, okay, obviously, where there is the nourishment of the fetus, developing fetus, and there is the implantation of the developing fetus. दो चीजें होती है. Number one, it holds the fetus till the gestation period is over, and it also nourishes it. Okay, it's pear shaped, मगर क्या pear? It's inverted pear shaped. It is inverted pear shaped. Okay, shaped organ. Okay, which is meant for nourishment of developing fetus. Fetus remains there for gestation period. रहता है अपने required time तक. Okay. In humans it is 9 months. Okay. हाँ, 9 months is the gestation period in case of humans. Now ये inverted pear shaped है. अगर हम देखें तो हमने पिछली बार इसको ड्रा किया था बोर्ड पे. So this is the inverted pear structure which opens into the particular cervix and then vagina. And यहाँ है cornua. We talked about the cornua.
Yes, sir.
This is cornua, and at the point of cornua there enters an oviduct. है ना?
Yes, sir.
So this was the particular uterus. ठीक, other structures will be discussed, मगर फिलहाल हम यूट्रस की बात करेंगे. मैंने कहा था यूट्रस जो है, अगर इसके डायमेंशंस देखेंगे, यूट्रस के डायमेंशंस, तो यूट्रस की डायमेंशंस के हिसाब से इसका लेंथ जो है वो कितना था? 7.5 सेंटीमीटर. Some write 7 to 8 सेंटीमीटर. ओके, हाँ, ब्रेड्थ जो है वो इसकी है 5 सेंटीमीटर. And its thickness is about 2.5 centimeters, isn't it? है ना? Okay, but इसके कुछ characteristics हैं, important characteristics. It is distensible. It is distensible, which makes it very much vital and important. What is distensible?
Flexible.
Distensible का मतलब it is able to stretch. It is able to expand and stretch. ठीक, ये stretch होगा कितना? It can expand up to 100 times than normal. 100 times than normal, right? Now इसकी पोजीशन देखते हैं. It is present in, अगर हम पोजीशन देखें, it's present in lower abdomen. Lower abdomen, abdominal cavity के lower area में, right? It is antiflexed at right angle to vagina. What does that actually mean? Let's see the side view. If we see the side view, this is, say for example, the vagina. There is the opening for the vagina, and this is the innermost part of the vagina. With the vagina, this uterus is antiflexed. It's at 90 degree. 90 degree. So that means this should be the particular uterus, isn't it? And it is behind and over the urinary bladder. Okay, a part of it is over the urinary bladder and it is behind the urinary bladder. This is urinary bladder, this is the anteflexed uterus, isn't it? And behind the particular uterus there is one more organ, which is the rectum. Which is the rectum. So anteflexed, it's at 90 degree with the vagina. Vagina is a particular, what you can say, female copulatory organ. Okay, इसके 90 degree पे होता है the uterus, that's what we call as anteflexed, and इसके आगे है urinary bladder and इसके पीछे है rectum. A rectum, uterus and urinary bladder, all these organs can be called as pelvic organs. Catch one? Pelvic organs. There are diseases associated with them also. Pelvic organ prolapse is one. POP बना था. POP we call that pelvic organ prolapse. तो हालांकि मुझे वो डिस्कस नहीं करना, लेकिन फिर भी pelvic organ prolapse is associated with urinary bladder, uterus and rectum. Okay, so they are pelvic organs. Not only this, but it is something which is in the cavity. Okay, so uterus is in the cavity, in the coelomic cavity, isn't it? So if it is in the coelomic cavity, it needs the support. It should be supported. Otherwise, okay, it is something what is just like the hanging part. Okay, or it may abnormally change its position. That's a problem. Pelvic organ prolapse का मतलब वही होता है. अगर आपको दिमाग में आ जाए ये बात, या अगर आपको समझ में आ जाए ये बात, pelvic organ prolapse का मतलब होता है simply uterus loses a particular ligaments and it particularly becomes loosely held in its place. So that's a disease. So that means उन चीजों को बचाने के लिए, उन चीजों से रोकने के लिए, it is यानी uterus is supported by ligaments. अब ligaments क्या करेंगे? Ligaments will make it particularly tighter in its place and they will join it to the particular walls of the abdomen. Abdominal walls के साथ, okay, ये इसको fixed रख देते हैं. ये इसको for example जिसे कहेंगे अपनी position में support करने के लिए necessary होता है. Ligament, जैसे हमने इससे पहले भी ligaments के बारे में बात की थी. ओवरी में ligament था, mesovarium था, etc. तो यहाँ पर भी ligaments will play their role. Isn't it? समझ में आया? Now if we talk about the parts of uterus, regions, areas, parts, inverted pear, as I told you, isn't it? Okay, this is the inverted pear-like structure. There is vagina. Okay, and here somewhere we are drawing the particular cornua and oviducts. Okay, these are the oviducts, and the point where they join the particular uterus, they are the cornua, isn't it? Now, अगर हम बात करेंगे parts की, this is the fundus part of the uterus, and then there is the particular main body. This is the body of the uterus, and then there is the last part. Last part को अगर हम देखेंगे, it is what we say narrower, okay, and this last part is called as cervix. This is called as cervix. I will write one more name. That is the isthmus. We have talked about isthmus somewhere else also. We have talked about the isthmus in the oviduct. Here also there is isthmus. We will talk about that. Where is actually the isthmus? But ये तो है the regions of uterus, isn't it? अगर हम देखें, cervix is about 2.5 centimeters in length. 7.5 centimeters the total length of the uterus, and out of that 2.5 centimeters cervix. ठीक है? And rest is the body. Okay. Now, ये जो for example cervix है, cervix is this very particular area. It has two openings, one internal or external. Okay. देखो, this is the external os, os. This is the internal os. Os means opening, huh? Internal os. External os opens into the vagina. It opens into the vagina. ठीक. And जो internal os है, it opens into the lumen of the uterus. It opens into the body of the uterus. Okay? Fine. Now there is one more important thing. Actually, according to some publications, according to some workers, they say internal os are two, not one. Okay, there are two internal os. One they call as anatomical internal os, another is, okay, this is anatomical internal os, and this one they call as the histological internal os. Histological internal os. Okay, and the gap between the two, the distance between the two, is what you call as isthmus. Now, is it clear what's isthmus? Huh? Okay, but at your particular level, we do not discuss about the isthmus or the anatomical and histological internal os. What we say, or what we just tell you about the internal and external os, we say there is an external os and internal os, and between these external and internal os there is what we call as the isthmus, or we call simply it as cervical canal or cervical, okay, cervical canal. So they call this as any gap between internal and external os. It is what we call as cervical canal. Cervical canal. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, ये तो है regions. These are the regions. This is the fundus part. These are the particular body, and this is the cervix. Cervix is narrower. Okay, cervix is narrower than the body, so that's why here it is broader and here it is narrower. That gives it an appearance of a typical pear, but inverted pear. Okay, now let's talk about the histology. Histology. So that we will come back to the structures, but first we will talk about the histology of uterus. Histology of uterus says that uterus is of three layers. The outermost layer is outermost. What is actually the serosa? Okay, it's actually serosa, and it is what we call as perimetrium. Perimetrium. Inner one or middle one, we call it myometrium. It's muscular. Myometrium, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Chance.
Yes, sir.
Third one, the innermost, it is Shabash.
Endometrium.
Innermost is endometrium. Outer perimetrium, middle is the myometrium, and innermost is the endometrium. Endometrium is very much adjustable. It adjusts according to the particular time of the menstrual cycle. Okay, how we will talk about that. So starting from the endometrium, we will start from endometrium first. जो endometrium होता है, endometrium, it is the most adaptable, most adjusted, most variable part of the particular uterus, right? Okay. One important thing about the endometrium, it has two layers. It has a deeper, I will not write outer because that will confuse you. I will write it has a deeper basal layer. And that deeper basal layer is termed as stratum basalis. Stratum basalis. So deeper layer, अगर मैं endometrium ये मानूं, okay, then there is a deeper layer, okay, that I have told you. So there is a deeper layer that I am drawing with red, and this deeper layer is what we call as stratum basalis. Okay. Now this stratum basalis, other than this, there is another layer, so which covers the lumen, that is the innermost या superficial layer. सुपरफिशियल का मतलब क्या होता है? सुपरफिशियल का मतलब जो इस कवरिंग को या इस गैप को या इस कैविटी को कवर करता है, लाइन अप करता है, ओके, जो वॉल्स को लाइन अप करता है, सुपरफिशियल ऊपर का लेयर, ओके, सुपरफिशियल फंक्शनल लेयर, फंक्शनल वही है, फंक्शनल मतलब मेंस्ट्रुएशन के हिसाब से फंक्शनल वही है, सो इट्स कॉल्ड एज स्ट्रैटम functionalis, it's called as stratum functionalis, isn't it? Stratum functionalis is shed during the menstruation. When the females have the menstruation phase of menstrual cycle, we are going to talk about that. Okay, the part of the endometrium which is being shed off along with the blood capillaries, along with that very blood, okay, I feel 100 ml, okay, so that blood is lost along with the particular unfertilized egg. Fine, okay, so this stratum functionalis is shut off with that, so it is being cast off during menstruation. ठीक है सर? अच्छा, once it is shut off, then what happens? It will regenerate. जो भी part shut off होता है periodically, cyclic मैनर में, यानी महीने के एक दिन वो shut off हो जाएगा. It will be regenerated again because it is needed there, isn't it? So that is after that it is then regenerated. ठीक, that is why जो ये स्पेशल सुपरफिशियल फंक्शनल लेयर है, स्ट्रेटम फंक्शनैलिस जो है, दैट इज द इनर मोस्ट लेयर ऑफ द एंडोमेट्रियम. ये जो लेयर है, इट इज आल्सो कॉल्ड एज रीजेनरेटिव endometrium. Regenerative endometrium. That means there are two layers. One is the functional layer, stratum functionalis. Okay, this is stratum functionalis, and inner to that there was what? Stratum basalis. So there is stratum basalis. Now let me talk about the stratum functionalis. Separate. Stratum functionalis is of two layers. Stratum functionalis has two layers. Fine. One of the layers is the epithelium. कौन से वाले लेयर को हम एपिथेलियम बोलेंगे? Epithelium is the layer which covers the lumen. ये खाली space, lumen, right? Lumen means खाली space, and this is covering the particular lumen, the खाली space, the blank space, okay, the cavity, and this is what we call as epithelium. Obviously, epithelium is the layer which covers the cavity, which covers the organs, which covers the organ system. Okay, you are okay with that? Inner to the epithelium, that means deeper. इधर ये वाला, या फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये वाला जो रह गया, ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल बाहर वाला था ये एपिथेलियम, एंड उसके अंदर जो वाला लेयर है जो बच गया, जो रह गया, इसे कहते हैं, ये है इसका लेमिना प्रोप्रिया. Now what have we understood so far? There are two layers. Deeper is basal layer, which is called as stratum basalis, and there is the functional superficial layer, which is called as stratum functionalis. Right? Stratum functionalis is the layer which is shut off during the menstruation. Right? And finally, it's called as regenerative endometrium also. Now, this regenerative endometrium or this superficial functional layer, it has two layers. One is epithelium, another is deeper one called as lamina propria. So now, therefore, there will be epithelium. Deeper to that is lamina propria, and then there is the stratum basalis. Isn't it? Fine? No. Okay, this epithelium has two types of columnar cells. It has two types of columnar cells. It has two types of columnar cells. One is ciliated columnar epithelium and another is secretory columnar. One is ciliated, teacher, and another is secretory. Two types of cells. Okay, one is secretory cells and another is ciliated cells. Secretory cells and ciliated cells. Fine. So ये है about endometrium. So endometrium is having the secretory layer and ciliated layer. Fine. So it is having the basal layer, stratum basalis, and functional stratum functionalis, and this is stratum functionalis जिसमें ये दो layers है, epithelium and lamina propria. Lamina propria जो है, lamina propria is actually a connective tissue. What is it? Connective tissue. Now the second layer is myometrium. Okay, from inner to outside. We are starting from endometrium, then myo, then perimetrium. So myometrium is the second one. Myometrium. Myometrium is muscular. There are muscles. It's muscular layer. That means it is meant for. It is very much important in muscular contractions of uterus. During the birth of the baby, this uterus should contract. If it contracts, that's called as labor. Okay, and the particular pain associated with that labor is called as labor pain. It's because of muscle contractions, and it's the myometrium which plays the role. Myometrium, the muscular layer, it has three layers. First layer is what we call as, outer layer is of longitudinal muscle fibers. It's of longitudinal muscle fibers. And innermost, perhaps we are talking about this earlier also. So innermost is circular muscles. And in between the two there is crisscross muscles. Crisscross muscle fibers. And what is the particular mechanism of that crisscross? देखो crisscross में क्या होगा? Fibers, the muscle fibers will be arranged in crisscross manner, isn't it? ठीक है? And this is the layer where the blood vessels pass through. Blood vessels pass through this crisscross muscle layer. क्योंकि blood vessels have to reach the endometrium. याद रखो. Blood vessels have to reach the endometrium to supply the endometrium. Endometrium must be supplied with the blood. ठीक? So यहाँ तक blood कहाँ से आएगा? Through the muscular layer, and those those very particular blood vessels, they pass through the crisscross blood vessels. Crisscross muscle fibers. Okay? अच्छा, अब होगा क्या? जब मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा, ओके, एंड जब फॉर एग्जांपल ये जिसे कहेंगे मेंस्ट्रुअल फ्लो जब होगा, बाकी चीजें जब होंगी, कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जहां पर खतरा ये होता है कि ब्लड शैल लॉस मोर एंड मोर, ज्यादा से ज्यादा ब्लड लॉस हो सकता है. तो इसलिए क्या किया जाता है, व्हेन द एंडोमेट्रियम हैज कॉन्ट्रैक्शंस, उन कॉन्ट्रैक्शंस के टाइम पे क्रिस-क्रॉस मसल्स दे एक्चुअली कंप्रेस द ब्लड वेसल्स एंड ब्लड वेसल्स ब्लॉक टेम्परेरीली सो दैट मोर ब्लड इज नॉट लॉस्ट. Otherwise blood would be lost, complete blood would be lost through this. ठीक है? So crisscross muscle fibers have a very much vital role. But what we need to remember and what we need to understand is only the second part is myometrium. Second layer is myometrium, and it has the muscles. It's completely musculature. Okay, and the three layers of the muscles are longitudinal, crisscross, and circular. This is more than enough. Fine. Let's talk about one more thing. That is the outermost layer, that is perimetrium. Perimetrium actually is serosa. Perimetrium is actually serosa. Okay, and it is a connective tissue layer. It is connective tissue. It also has two layers. Inner is the connective tissue layer, innermost. यानी अगर हम पेरीमेट्रियम को देखेंगे, ये चलो यहाँ पर था मायोमेट्रियम, ये था एंडोमेट्रियम. This is the myometrium, and there is perimetrium. Perimetrium also has two layers, right? उसका भी एक इनर है और एक एक्सटर्नल है. जो इनर है वो है कनेक्टिव टिश्यू. ब्रीफ बताऊंगा, ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे, डोंट वरी. ओके, सो ये जो ये कनेक्टिव टिश्यू है, उसके बाहर जो है इसमें एक तो कनेक्टिव टिश्यू होता है, प्लस इसमें होता है मीजोथीलियम. मैं एम लिखूंगा. आउटर मोस्ट लेयर ऑफ सेरोसा इज कनेक्टिव टिश्यू प्लस मीजोथीलियम प्लस, and what is mesothelium? Don't worry, it is nothing else. It is epithelium. It's epithelium, जिसको हम mesothelium यहाँ पे बोलते हैं. Okay, इसके epithelium को हम mesothelium बोलते हैं. Now what were the layers? Endometrium, talked in detail about that. Okay, then myometrium, we talked in detail about that. Okay, and then there is perimetrium, which is actually the connective tissue, and it has two layers rather. Okay, inner is the connective tissue, outer to that is the particular connective tissue and the mesothelium. So this is the histology of the uterus, isn't it? Now, talking about this cervical canal. Cervical canal plus vagina, they combinedly are called as birth canal. They combinedly are called as birth canal. ठीक है? And they are guarded by sphincters. They are guarded by sphincters. जैसे stomach में थे, तो यहाँ they are guarded by sphincters. Internal os में, external os में. Now external os is external os. अगर हम उसका क्रॉस सेक्शन काटेंगे या क्रॉस सेक्शन देखेंगे, external os in cross section is circular. अच्छा? So it is circular. In a female who has not given birth to the young ones, who has not given birth yet. Yeah, rather we can say in females who had no children earlier, ठीक, जिनके earlier बच्चे नहीं हुए हैं, तो उनमें ये होगा circular. And the female who once gives the birth to the young one, then it becomes lip-like, okay, or I can say the particular, it becomes bilipid structure. It becomes bilipid structure. Bilipid का मतलब two lips, upper and lower. Okay. So this is external os in cross section in the females who have not had children earlier. It is circular in cross sections. But in the females who have given birth to the young ones, it becomes bilipid structure, upper and lower. Fine? Okay. One thing which I must tell you, this external os is guarded by sphincters. It has one inner area, one outer area. This is prone to cancer. In females, there is cervical cancer which is very much common. Cervical cancer is common in females. And why does that cervical cancer occur? This external os, external os is this. It opens into the vagina and here it enters into the particular body of the uterus. Easy? But you see area, outer area is made of the columnar cells. Columnar cells, and inner area of this region, okay, let me shade it with red color. Inner area of this is made of squamous epithelium या squamous cells, okay. फिर एक पॉइंट आता है जहां पर squamous epithelium and columnar epithelium दोनों एक जगह मीट होते हैं, है ना? For example, this is made of columnar epithelium, this is made of squamous epithelium. एक पॉइंट होगा ना जहां पर दोनों कॉमन होंगे. That junction, which is called as squamo-columnar junction, that is quite having the particular chances of cancer. So chances of cancer are in squamo-columnar junction of the external os of the cervix. Is that okay? Okay, fine. So in next chapter, in next particular lecture, we will talk about some other parts of the female reproductive tract. Till then, stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum.